Hi everyone, thank you for joining so far. We'll just give it a couple more minutes just to make sure we've got everyone who wants to attend tonight, but thank you so much for joining already. Just so all attendees are aware, because we've had a question saying, can you hear me? No, we cannot. All attendee cameras and mics will be off, so don't worry about it. We're not snooping into your houses. Fab. Right, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We really do appreciate all of you for joining us, and it's great to see so many of you. We've already got about 200 on the webinar, and we're hoping that number will slowly creep up. So thank you all for joining us. This evening we are joined by the incredible Lloyds Banking Group. Lloyds Banking Group is a world-renowned financial services company, and they're here to discuss some of their apprenticeship opportunities across audit, risk, customer service, data analytics, cyber, engineering, and so much more. Today we are joined with Elaine, who is the Apprentice Programme Manager at Lloyds, and two apprentices, Billy and Ellen, who not too long ago were in the exact same position as a lot of you here tonight. Billy and Ellen will take us through their apprenticeship journey and will be here to answer any questions that you have. Thank you to the team at Lloyds for your time today. Now, before I hand it over, I just would like to encourage everyone to ask as many questions as you would like through the Q&A function. If you're unable to see the Q&A function for whatever reason, please feel free to just post your questions in the chat and we will get back to you. We will be having a live 15-minute Q&A session towards the end of the webinar, and we will try our best to answer as many questions as we can. As a reminder, this event will also be recorded and shared on the Success at School YouTube channel post the event, and we will share that link with all attendees to rewatch it as many times as you would like. We will also send across some further information from Lloyds regarding any key dates for their apprenticeship opportunities. To start us off, thank you already for completing the poll that we've got live, and we will revisit the poll at a later stage. We've got a couple of polls for you to explore tonight, and we really do appreciate you for being here. Elaine, thank you, and over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Malika, and thanks for having me today. So my name's Elaine and I'm an apprenticeship delivery manager at Lloyds Banking Group. Thanks so much for listening in today, and I'm really excited to tell you all about our apprenticeships at Lloyds Banking Group. The Lloyds Banking Group, you've probably heard of us, but we're a company with millions of customers and a presence in almost every community. Our apprenticeship programs have been designed to
Hi guys, can you hear me?
No, if we can hear you.
Yes, we can. I think we've just lost Elaine. which is all
Awesome.
right.
So I am happy to take over in the meantime. Or what we can do is, let me put my video on first of all. And then you can probably pop me on as a cover. That's the good thing of having backup with these technical things. Hopefully you can pop me on, Malika.
Yes, you should be on the screen now.
Oh, I am. Oh, I didn't realise. Perfect. Awesome. Apologies for that, guys. I am joining also from Lloyds Banking Group. And it probably might be worth us being flexible. That's the nature of our role, and especially with all things kind of post-COVID and just being agile and flexible. So this is a prime example of making sure you have plan A, plan B, and plan C as well. So what we're going to be doing now, before we kind of go through who we are as an organisation, what we do, and I will also get Elaine to actually go through that in more detail, but what I just wanted to kind of go through is the wealth of opportunities we have within the organisation. I can see Elaine's come back perfectly on. Oh, did you just? I was actually going to take over. Oh, this is good. Yes, I was just explaining technology. It's only reliable at some occasions, but I'm glad that you've been able to get back on. So yeah, back to you then.
Thanks, Sophie. I'll just pick up where I left off. So
Yes.
I was just saying that at Lloyds Banking Group, we offer apprenticeships from level 2, which is GCSE equivalent, to level 7, equivalent to a master's degree, in 30 different occupational areas, including software engineering, data analytics, finance and customer services, and that's just to name a few. There's loads more opportunities that you might be interested in, which I'll tell you a little bit more about today. So our award-winning apprenticeship programmes are delivered in partnership with expert training providers and some universities, supporting colleagues to develop the expertise, skills and behaviours valued by the bank, and supporting our aim to be the best bank for customers. Typically, we have around 1,600 colleagues on an apprenticeship at any one time. Now, 2022 marks 10 years of us delivering apprenticeships within Lloyds Banking Group, and this has given us a fantastic opportunity to celebrate the achievements of all of our apprentices. So if you're looking for a new challenge, or you don't really know what you want to do, our apprenticeships might just be what you're looking for. Try and think of them as a foot in the door, because they really are an opportunity to earn while you learn and join an organisation that provides fantastic training and career options. So what roles do we have to offer? Well, you can always find out about our roles by looking at our website, which is lloydsbankinggrouptalent.com. We will have a range of apprenticeships available for you to apply for around mid-January. So do give us a follow on our Instagram in the meantime, which is at LBG Early Talent, or, as I say, take a look at the site and you can register your interest. And what we'll do is then we'll reach out to you in January when the roles go live. So just to give you a bit of a heads up of what's coming, here are some roles that we are going to be advertising. And remember, when you join us on an apprenticeship at Lloyds, you are in a permanent role right from the start. We will train you up via the apprenticeship, and you'll get paid the same as another colleague who's actually doing the role, even though you're an apprentice. So there's no £2.50 an hour here at Lloyds Banking Group. Now, some of our upcoming vacancies are based in various locations. We have a lot of roles that will be September 2023 starts. But remember, don't miss out, because we only have the application window open for a relatively short time. So in January, we'll have a lot of apprenticeships open for applications, and some of the ones I'm just going to give you a heads up on are going to be specific school leaver apprenticeship programs where you would actually start in September 2023. So if you apply in January, you could potentially have something lined up for September, and there you are, free to sort of enjoy your summer. So just to give you an idea of some of the roles and locations, so we're going to have some level 4 group internal audit school leaver apprenticeships, and they're going to be based in Edinburgh and some of them in London. We'll also have some other roles in group finance, so there'll be level 4 finance apprenticeships, also based in Edinburgh and London. There will be some level 4 finance school leaver apprenticeships in our group corporate treasury area. Those will all be based in London, but it's not all London. We'll be having some roles that will be based in Bristol and some more in London, particularly in the finance programme. There'll be some data analyst apprenticeships at level 4. Some of those will be based in London, but some of them will be based in the Halifax/Leeds area too, and they'll be a part of our risk department. And then we're also expecting to have some human resources apprenticeships, and that's a level 5 apprenticeship, and those will be based not in London, they'll be based in either Bristol or the Leeds/Halifax area. Few more on my list of things that we're working on. We're also going to have a number of level 6 financial services professional apprentice opportunities for school leavers, and also some more data analyst level 4 apprenticeships in Edinburgh and London. And then last but not least, we'll also have another 15 risk apprenticeships in London, Birmingham and Edinburgh. So I've talked about a few locations there, but we often do have other roles available in our key hubs, which are up and down the country. So people often ask me, what does your application process look like and what grades do you need? So generally we look for maths and English GCSEs at a grade C, which I think is 4 and above. But as part of our recruitment process, we're really keen that we don't want anyone to miss out on an opportunity. So if you haven't got those grades, we actually would still consider your application. And for our apprenticeships, we support colleagues to gain maths and English qualifications too. So there's 3 stages in the application process. The first step is just an application and online assessment. And that's just to assess your strengths and your maths skills. The second step is an interview, as you'd expect. Now, this might be face-to-face, but it might be via Microsoft Teams or via the phone. And if you're applying for a level 2 or a level 3 apprenticeship, that is actually the final stage. And if you're successful, we would offer you the role after that. But for our level 4 and above apprenticeships, we will invite you to an assessment day if you make it through to the first 2 stages. And I don't know if you know much about assessment days, but it's really made up of 3 things. So you'll have a further interview and a series of challenges. So the first part is you'll have another individual interview. Then there is a group activity. So we want to see how you work with others in a team in sort of small groups. And the idea is making sure that you're leading discussions, supporting everybody and being inclusive in a group. And the last bit is a presentation, just a short presentation that you'd have to do in front of some interviewers. We will give you the topic. It's not something that you have to sort of prepare for in advance. So if you were successful after that, then we would make you an offer to join the apprenticeship. Another question I get asked is, what's your sort of top tips? And you know what, my biggest tip for you is, for the application process, is really just be yourself. We love to welcome everybody at Lloyds Banking Group, and we just want you to be you and don't try and be something that you're not or try and be someone else. If you share our vision and you're eager to learn, then we absolutely want to hear from you. Remember that at Lloyds Banking Group, we actually recruit people on their strengths, not on their experience. So you've got as much chance as anyone when applying. So all that's left for me to say is I wish you all the very best of luck with your future career, whatever path you take. Don't forget to give us a follow on our Instagram, which is @LBG Early Talent. And also you can register your interest via the Lloyds Banking Group Talent.com website. And we'll be in touch when those vacancies go live. So enough of me talking now. I'm going to hand you over to a couple of our colleagues. I've got 2 colleagues that have joined us today, Billy and Ellen, and they're going to actually tell you a little bit about their experience and what it's like working for Lloyds Banking Group as our apprentices. So Billy, I'm going to hand over to you first.
Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate that. Hi everyone. So as Elaine mentioned, I'm Billy Hillier. I'm an apprentice, currently on an apprenticeship scheme. So I joined the bank in September 2019 on the level 4 internal audit apprenticeship scheme. I've since completed that and moved on to the level 7. So I'll be getting my master's equivalent qualification at the conclusion of my apprenticeship in September 2024. I think kind of the best way for me to give an overview of over my career would be for me to start from the beginning. So I was in sixth form, didn't go to college, but sixth form instead. And then I was in year 13, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, where I wanted to take my career, etc. I imagine, in the same position as most other people are at. I had an interest in banking or finance. Little did I know how broad those topics were. But I felt like I was mature for my age, and I was keen to learn, which was key, right? I felt like I was ready to go into kind of a 9 to 5 office role. I didn't think I needed to go to uni. So, I kept my options open, and I applied kind of all around. I applied for uni, but I applied for multiple apprenticeship schemes as well. My approach was, if it seems moderately interesting, I'd apply for it, and then kind of come to decision time. Then the ball would be in my court, if you use a phrase. So the audit apprenticeship was obviously one that I applied for. It seemed interesting to me based on the range of teams you worked within. I would have got quite a lot of exposure across the bank, and I felt like, in terms of a start point for your career, to be able to see multiple different teams is obviously always going to be advantageous. Which is why I applied for the audit apprenticeship itself. I knew nothing about audit at the time. I couldn't have told you what it was. That was my kind of skill level going in. My decision to join Lloyds specifically, and after I'd applied for the scheme, was actually from the assessment centre that Elaine alluded to. So obviously at the assessment centre, you're being assessed, obviously. But I also found that it was kind of quite a lot of two-way conversation. I felt like, I could ask questions. I was comfortable. The kind of Lloyd's culture, I suppose, was very enticing to me, and I kind of engaged with it. I felt like I was, I belonged, if you like. So I did multiple different assessment centres across, different organisations. The Lloyd's one was by far a standout for me, and I remember leaving, Canary Wharf thinking, if I got the offer, this would definitely be the place I'd like to start my career. Obviously, luckily, I managed to get that offer, so that's how I got into the role, and that's why I'm speaking to you today. So that's how I got here. I suppose a typical day in my work life is probably the more interesting piece that you guys are interested in. So the short answer is a typical day in my work life varies. I've worked across multiple different teams now, as benefit of the apprenticeship. I've worked within the retail banking team, the treasury finance team. I worked across insurance and wealth, automation, platforms technology, which is the team I'm currently in, and I'll be moving into group strategy in January. So I've had quite a varied journey so far, I'd say. And obviously within each of those teams, there's kind of slight nuances to what you'd be doing. But as a high level, if I give an overview, I think there are probably 3 main elements to my role, and then obviously 3 main skills aligned to those roles. So the first off would be I engage with stakeholders quite frequently. So that means speaking to, leading meetings. I'd say 90% of the meetings are virtual at Lloyds currently. I lead those meetings with senior colleagues, and given the nature of my role within audit, we speak quite a lot about risk management. Obviously, kind of a verbal communication skill is needed to speak to those colleagues and come across the right way, be engaging, etc. But also to make sure I'm comfortable speaking to people that are, kind of my boss's boss level, if you like. So that's kind of the first element of my role, I'd say. Next element would be completing testing. So I won't bore you with the ins and outs of audit, but part of what we do is we review processes, we review controls. So this testing piece would be me taking a look at a process and being like, okay, does this process, are we providing assurance that the process is operating effectively, so operating as it's supposed to be? To do that kind of testing, we do multiple different things. It could be examining documents, asking questions. Sometimes we even use like data analytics and deep dive into some data. For example, customer complaints was one I was working on recently. And then what we do is we complete that testing, so we come back with our analysis of it and be able to provide an opinion over that what we've looked at. I think the key skill for this, in terms of doing my role, would be attention to detail. There's a lot of nuances to it, and it can be quite overwhelming sometimes, the amount of data you have to review. But I think keeping a keen mind and being able to focus on the small things can really help sometimes in this regard. Third and final element to my role, I'd say, would be writing reports. So obviously, at the end of the testing, we then need to report on kind of the outcomes of what we found, right? Whether that's good or bad. In that way, we kind of write a formal report, and we also have work papers that are aligned to that report, which obviously correlate to what we found in the report. For this, you obviously have to write in a professional manner. You have to be able to kind of articulate kind of any problems in a way that stakeholders will understand and will accept. You can't come across too harsh or too strict, and vice versa, though, right? Obviously, if you're receiving a report, you're going to want it to be as good as possible, right? Sometimes we have to be harsh and be like, no, this is what we found and this is our opinion, which can sometimes be a negative opinion. So there's definitely a written communication skill that revolves around that, and being able to come into a meeting and and be able to present something that's written in a way that multiple people can agree with, but still gets across the message you need to deliver. So there's definitely a communication skill there. So those three skills I mentioned, kind of verbal communication, written communication, and attention to detail, are the three main skills I think is needed for my role. Although I would say, when I started at the bank in September 2019 as an 18-year-old, I didn't have, my skills weren't, I wasn't a great speaker and a great professional writer. I'd never written a professional email before I started, let alone a report. But at the start, you got a lot of support from colleagues around you. You're not left completely on your own as an individual. And obviously, as you kind of prove yourself, I suppose, you gain more independence and more responsibility as time goes on. So I would say, while it's important to have those skills, they don't need to be superb and perfect for you to apply and for you to start an apprenticeship journey. You just need to be willing to learn and keen to develop. Would be what I say. Other things just to mention in my day-to-day role, as part of the apprenticeship, I also attend university. So we're partnered with Birmingham City University, which is where I go. I'm up there for kind of 2 or 3 days every 6 weeks or so. We also have a weekly lecture, so we attend that virtually, rather than going up to Birmingham each week. And that obviously helps with my exams, my qualification, which I'm sitting, which is the Chartered Internal Audit qualification, so the CIA. I'll be completing that, which will make me a chartered accountant once completed, fingers crossed, as well as giving me an MSc in leadership. So that's the kind of university side of it. I also do some side desk activities as well as part of my role. So I'm involved in the inclusion and diversity agenda at Lloyds. So kind of arranging that in terms of different networks and supporting colleagues that might have not as good advantage as some others, etc. There's a few different things we do in that. So I'm involved with that agenda. I obviously support school leaver events such as this and try and do as much as I can, because I think this is a place I can add real value, given that I've recently been through the journey myself. And I also help organise team meetings and kind of some more admin stuff as well as part of the team, which I do on the side. Again, those kind of skills are needed. You need some organisation skills. You probably need some time management skills to make sure you do it effectively. But again, I wouldn't stress and say you're going to be chucked into the deep end, if you like, on day one. You're going to be given time to mature, learn those skills, and kind of pursue your career by where your talents take you. As an apprentice, I think there's definitely a lot more leeway and freedom I think I felt being an apprentice than other colleagues who have come in without having the kind of apprenticeship route behind them, I would say. The apprenticeship is really exceeding my expectations. In summary, it's been great for me. It's easily the best decision I've ever made in my life. I think kind of the key attribute to it is it's how much I've learned and developed. And I think I've learned and developed across 3 main areas, right? With that being knowledge, skills, and attributes. My knowledge has improved because I knew nothing about banking. My career journey plan when I was 15, 16 was I want to go into banking. Banking is massive. There's so many different elements to it, and it's so vague. I've now know enough about banking where I can be like, I know funding and liquidity, I know infrastructure, I know retail clients, I know product base, I know change strategy elements, which I never knew before and wouldn't have even considered as part of being a bank prior to starting. So my knowledge has definitely increased. I'd say my skills have improved, my communication skills, my ability to deliver messages, obviously writing in a professional manner as evidenced by kind of my report writing skills. And the other thing I would say as well is kind of in terms of attributes, I think the main one would be confidence. I was quite a confident 18-year-old. I don't think I would have said yes to jumping on a call in front of 250, 260 people like I am right now. So I think kind of your confidence and your ability to be treated as an adult from an early age can really boost you up and make you kind of mature at a fast rate, which is great. So the apprenticeship as a whole definitely exceeded my expectations. And one other thing I just wanted to mention, just to end on as well, just because I realised I spoke a lot about work, is that it's really fun as well. Like, I really enjoyed my time within the teams. There's a great apprenticeship community. I feel like I've made lifelong friends with some of the people I've worked with, and I've got a real good relationship with people that are in my kind of similar career path. And yes, that's good from a career perspective, but it's also nice to have some fun at work, right, and enjoy yourself while you're there. And there's also, alongside the apprenticeship, is obviously the actual teams you work within. You're not treated as an apprentice really at Lloyds. I think pretty much from day one you're seen as an individual, as a colleague. Again, as Elaine mentioned, you have a full-time role, so there's no kind of you're here on a contractual basis. Teams are invested in you, and you're treated as one of the team. So I've been involved in many different team activities. I'm part of a darts league, for example, at Lloyds. You know, we've gone and watched football together, etc. There's multiple different things we do on a social side of it as well that I think is worth emphasising, because obviously uni is seen as a fun area for young people to join, and undoubtedly so it will be. But you know, you join a good apprenticeship scheme, you're not going to lose out on that aspect of it either. So I think that's all I'm going to. That's enough of me rambling on a bit. I think I'll pass over to Ellen now to explain kind of her journey.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. So yeah, if I just start a little bit about myself. So my name's Ellen, and similar. Oh, sorry, just waiting for. Is everything okay there, Malika?
Everything's good. Keep going.
Okay, fab. Yes, so I joined Lloyds. So I actually did a degree first, and I did a degree in drama and acting. So completely different to what I did once I started Lloyds, and I started on the level 4 data analyst apprenticeship. And I always like to say that because I've seen some of the questions already saying sort of like, what A levels do you need to do? And I genuinely think it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be something that you focus on so much that you think, oh, I have to study maths and science and all of these things. I studied drama and art and English at GCSE and at A level, and then I studied a degree in drama before deciding, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to change what I'm doing, and I want to go into data analytics. And it was genuinely the best decision I've ever made, because I've grown and grown and grown in my career, and the apprenticeship has supported that so much. So on a day-to-day coming into the apprenticeship, similar to like Billy said, you're not going to have all of the skills that you need perfected. And so you learn with the team around you. And I found one of the key skills I did need is problem solving. So within data analytics, I specialize in visualization. So it's taking different sets of data, and you can sort of cut and chop and change that in whatever way works to visualize the data in the way that you need to. So I'll create dashboards that will be presented up to sort of senior leadership team to show them sort of what's going on at the moment, what's going on in the workplace, what's going on with our clientele. So I'm in commercial banking, so are our products okay? Are we selling our products okay? Are people actually processing them correctly? So you can look at all different things and visualize those in different ways to tell stories. And that's how I see my job. I'm telling a story to the senior leadership team about what we're doing well, what do we need to work on, where do we need more training. And that's what I mean by it's problem solving. And again, communication, those are your key skills that you need. And those can be learned, and those you can learn in any subject. You will always learn skills such as that. And again, just in life, it doesn't have to be that you only learn problem solving skills in a maths lesson. You can learn them whenever. So in terms of day-to-day, you could come in, and my role is quite project based. So each day could be completely different, and you can manage your time really well like that. You can manage your own day. If you're not in the mood one day to do a certain thing, then you can put that on hold and do something the next day and do something different. And I think that's really nice. Like Billy said, you're treated like an adult. You're given this opportunity to manage your own day, and you're expected to do that and get the job done. And as long as you're getting the job done and asking for help where you can, there is a lot of flexibility there. So generally I use Planner, and on that I just mark out all the different projects I have, and then I'll come in each morning, I'll check through all my emails. If there's anything urgent, I'll respond to those urgent emails. Then I'll look at my planner and see what have I got to get done, what has the quickest deadline, or what has the most work to be done on it. And I'll start working on those projects, and then you'll get messages and emails throughout the day that again you can just respond to as and when, and pick up different projects here and there. If you find that you've come to a problem on something, and I find quite often with data, you'll get something through and you think, why is this not working how I want it to? And you can wrap your head around it so many times that some days you just need to close the slate on that, pick up a different project, work on something else, and then pick it up again the next day, and suddenly the problem's sort of staring you in the face and you know the answer to it. So yeah, I mean, each day completely different, and like Billy said as well, there's lots of fun elements to it. I mean, leading up to Christmas, I was on a call earlier helping with Christmas quizzes. There is that fun nature to work as well, and it is a really team environment. Everybody wants you to learn, everybody wants to learn from you, and that collaboration I found has worked wonders for me, as long as you're open to it. There it is. So yeah, I mean, that's the skills, that's the day-to-day pretty much. I'll keep it there short and sweet so we've got time to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. That was really informative. Thank you, Billy and Elaine, as well. So we've had some really great questions. Please keep keep sending them in, and we'll get down to them as soon as we can. So the number one question we've had is definitely the location that you do offer your apprenticeship opportunities. So I don't know where you guys are based, if you're based in sort of different locations, or if you know, are there any opportunities to perhaps travel during your apprenticeship? If you guys could just maybe talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I was based in Bristol when I started. I've moved now, so I'm actually an hour away because I work from home. But if I was to go into the office, Bristol's sort of my nearest hub. And I know they do, like Elaine said, they offer quite a lot of different apprenticeships from Bristol.
Can I just add to that, Malika? Yeah, so as I mentioned, on a lot of the vacancies that are coming up, they are in what we call our key hubs. So that's London, Scotland, so Edinburgh, Glasgow, also Bristol. West Yorkshire is a big hub for us, so like that covers sort of like Leeds, Halifax, those types of areas. But of course, the other key thing is, as you know, what we're very much known for in Lloyds is our branch network. So there are a lot of roles that we advertise for you to come and join us in one of our customer facing roles and some of our other sites. So we often have got roles open in those types of locations, but they're not necessarily an apprenticeship right from the start. So what we do sometimes with a lot of our branch roles is you come in and join us, and then once you've been in the role for about three months, something like that, then we potentially start you on an apprenticeship then. So we really are literally up and down the country, it's probably fair to say.
Fab. And in terms of sort of the work experience that Lloyds offer, we've had a couple of questions come in. If you've got any age restrictions, do you have any sort of summer placements, anything for year 10, year 11, perhaps before the sort of A-level cohort?
Yeah, there's something that we've started. We do offer a virtual work experience, and what we can do is maybe when we send out the link, Malika, I can include the link on that email. But there's also something else that we've started doing last year that's really exciting, and it's called Lloyds Careers Live. And what that is a bit like, if you think of about a careers fair, it's like the careers fair that comes to you. So every month, it's always on the first Tuesday of every month, we run a session, and you hear from real colleagues, and we talk about different types of careers. So we run them on risk, customer services, careers in cyber, data analytics, and we're just finalising the schedule for 2023. So again, you'll be able to find further details of that, because that will help you to understand what roles are actually out there and what career opportunities there are. Even if you don't necessarily come and work with us, we will talk about what a career in cybersecurity could look like, for example.
That sounds really interesting. And we did actually have another question asking that when you're applying, maybe Billy and Ellen, you can sort of give your experience of this as well. Did you find that attending webinars such as these, or any sort of the live events that Elaine mentioned earlier, did that support your application when you were trying to apply for your apprenticeship?
I can go first. So I think so I attended a couple of webinars, and I took away from the webinars, the most important thing I took away was kind of the values and direction that Lloyds were going in, I suppose, at the time. I really used them with my application. I knew I was going to apply prior to joining the webinars, so it wasn't that perspective for me, but I did take away from it kind of, this is what Lloyds stand for, this is where they want to go in terms of why they're doing apprenticeship schemes, you know, where to help the colleagues can get to, and I used that throughout my application process. So yeah, it was definitely valuable for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I joined a couple of webinars, I brought that up in sort of interviews for getting the apprenticeship. And the other thing I did was sort of use courses, like free online courses on the Open University, and talk about those as well. Anything you can get, I think it just shows enthusiasm. If you're enthusiastic to learn, and you're enthusiastic to sort of join these webinars and learn about Lloyds and the culture, then that's really going to sort of set you above for those interviews and help you out there.
And just keeping with that same interview thread, Elaine, you did mention sort of what the assessment day consists of, but maybe Billy and Ellen, you can sort of give a real life experience of what your interviews were like, how many you had, who you had them with, because do you have anything that you need to prepare beforehand, as we have had a couple of questions, just a couple of students worried about the interview itself.
Yeah, I'll jump in first. So, so as kind of Elaine mentioned, there's a multiple stage to the whole process, right? So, first off, being kind of the English and maths tests, right, which are lower than kind of GCSE standards. So there's not too much. I wouldn't say there's too much to stress over, in my opinion. Obviously, I was applying for a level 7 apprenticeship at the time, which is worth bearing in mind. Next stage was kind of the video interview where I was recorded answering interview questions. There was no one on the other side of the camera. That was a weird experience to kind of go through. But you got a couple of minutes to prepare yourself, and I kind of knew what I wanted to be speaking about, and I'd gone on Google and kind of found some of the most common answer questions, etc., to help prep me for it. The assessment center, which is the final stage, is kind of the biggest moment, I'd say. So my assessment center, there was kind of micro challenges, which were like 5-10 minute exercises. There was a group exercise. There was a traditional face-to-face interview, and there was also a virtual reality kind of experience as part of the assessment. So it was a challenging day, I would say, in terms of you have to be on the ball all day and you have to be engaged all day. But it was fun. I enjoyed it, right? Like at the end of the day, these people, while you're being assessed for an apprenticeship role, they're not looking for you to be like an expert genius. They're looking for you to be the right kind of person for their role. So they want to take you in and mold you and develop you in 3, 4, 5, 6 years time to be kind of the employee they envision. You're not got to be that person when you walk through the door. I think that takes some of the pressure off, right? If you're keen to learn, if you're engaged and you want to be there, I don't think you'll have any problems. Prep wise, I googled the values and what Lloyds stood for. I also had a look around what audit was, because as I mentioned, I had no idea. But you haven't got to have any super technical knowledge when applying.
Yeah, and a similar experience for myself. So you have those tests, and you can practice those tests online as well. You can go onto the line and just search in SJT test practice, and you can practice those as much as you like before actually doing your tests for the apprenticeship. And then again, I had a virtual interview, so you get a screen that asks you questions, and you can prepare yourself. Have notes. I had notes all over the walls, so you know what you're going to say. And then when the questions come up, it's just talking to a camera. And then the final stage again was a big interview day. Mine was all online because of COVID, so I don't know if they're still online or some of them might be in person, but it was very similar. A few different smaller tasks. So some tasks around sort of organising your day, organising your diary, some tasks around sort of collaboration, working with the rest of the team, be it virtually or in person, and then a larger interview as well. And again, I just say honestly, just be yourself. I know it's something people always say, but I think if you just relax into it, be yourself, that's what people want. When I joined, I found they were looking for people, like Billy said, they're not looking for you to be an expert data analyst or an expert auditor or whatever it is. They're looking for you to be an enthusiastic person who wants to learn and who wants to grow and question sort of the norms and build Lloyds from where it is at the moment.
Great. And Billy, you mentioned that the team at Lloyds are there really to support you, and we've had a couple of questions of that support. So have you found learning on the job, balancing sort of university and working? Are you assigned sort of a buddy or a mentor? Maybe you can just sort of elaborate a little bit on the work-life balance and how you found the support at Lloyds as well.
Yeah, sure. So I think the work-life balance is very good at Lloyds. I think in terms of studying versus work, I think any kind of qualification you go for with an apprenticeship will be tied in and aligned to your day-to-day role. So you'll have kind of your textbook learning, i.e. the university or whatever it may be, but you'll also have the job role you're doing, which will lend itself to it. But I tend to find that kind of my practical learning and knowledge kind of supplements my textbook learning, and subsequently I don't have to revise for as long as I would, an A-level as example. So that was kind of the first thing I'd say in terms of that topic. In terms of the support I get, so obviously you'll have a line manager. Line managers at Lloyds, depends which team you're in and kind of what scheme you're on, etc. My line manager was unbelievably good. really, really supportive, always there to answer questions and kind of hold my hand, especially for the first kind of, 3-4 months when you're kind of really settling into the role. I think they know the expectation of what an apprentice can do, especially like a school leaver apprentice. And as such, they're not expecting you to come in and set the world on fire as such. Every time I rotate around a team, I don't get assigned a buddy, like in a kind of formal manner, I suppose. But, I know most of the teams. I'll speak to the people before I join, and there will typically be someone who's, a more junior colleague than the head of the team who, I have a friendship with, etc., and I'm able to ask questions. While I've never been formally given a buddy as such, I've never gone into a team and felt, uncomfortable about asking a question or uncomfortable about reaching out to someone. I don't think Lloyds has that kind of culture, so I wouldn't worry about that. The expectation is there for you to ask questions. They want you to. They encourage you to. So I wouldn't stress around the support side of things.
Thanks for that. And Elaine, we've actually got quite a few sort of entry requirements, next steps regarding the apprenticeships. So a lot of questions are asking at what stage should they apply? Do you offer sort of lower levels at the level 2, 3, and 4 apprenticeships? And just if you could just reiterate again, when everything goes live, how long it lasts for, and where they can all find further information, that would be great.
Yeah, no worries. So where you can find all the information about all of our roles is on that website that I mentioned. We will be sending you a link to that after the event. In terms of the roles, I mentioned just some of the ones that we're working on there. So a lot of them were sort of level 4 and above apprenticeships. And as I said, you don't need to have like a certain amount of UCAS points or, particular A levels or anything like that at all. Ideally we'd like you to have maths and English at grade C. I think that's a 4 and above. But if you haven't got that, don't let that put you off, because as part of the apprenticeship we can support you to gain maths and English qualifications. I think these roles are ideal if you're, as Billy said, he didn't sort of, wasn't at school thinking I would like to work in an audit function. You didn't even really, to be fair, Billy, know what it was, did you, as you said? And that's the thing with you guys, you almost don't know what you don't know in terms of what's out there. So if you look at these opportunities and think, I'm just going to apply for a load of them, and then see sort of how far you get in the process. As the others have said, if you are applying for any job, it's always sensible to actually research the company, to be honest, because, if I was interviewing somebody and, you weren't really familiar with what Lloyds Banking Group does, you don't need to know the ins and outs of the financial services, do you know what I mean, landscape. You know that we're a bank. You might know that Halifax is part of Lloyds Banking Group, and so is Lloyds Bank. Just the sort of basics to show that you are keen to sort of get to know us better. But yeah, we purposely don't have really high sort of grade boundaries for our apprenticeships, because we want them to be for everybody to apply for. And it's more about, as I said, making sure that you're keen to learn, and that you like the sound of us as an organisation. And when we know that that's something that's really important, that our values sort of align with yours. So yeah, hope that helps, Malika.
Yes, it did. Thank you. Now I've just made the last poll live for everyone to answer, and whilst that is going live, if Billy and Ellen, this is my favourite question to ask, what is your favourite part about your role? What is your favourite part about working at Lloyds Banking Group? And if you could just summarise your experience in a couple of sentences, that would be great.
Take this. Oh, go on, Billy.
No, go on. You go first. I went first last time.
Yes, I was just going to say, my favourite thing, honestly, it's the people. It's such a nice environment to work in, and as we've said already, everybody wants to support you. I've grown so much since doing my apprenticeship, and I've moved on to different roles and had promotions, and the people are there to support you and they want you to learn. So there's different courses that Lloyds will offer you alongside the apprenticeship to help with that. But everybody wants to work together, and that's what really makes it, and it just makes me feel really proud. I'm proud of where I've got to today, and I think sitting in my A levels sort of at school, I would never have thought that I am where I am now. and that wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for the people and the culture at Lloyds.
Yeah, I think for me, people and culture is huge as well. That could easily be my answer as well, but I'll switch it up for the benefit. I think I really enjoy my job role in terms of I get to see quite a lot of the bank. So as I mentioned, I worked across multiple different teams. I've seen a lot of it, and my understanding of what the bank does is so further advanced, and a lot of people who start their careers in different opportunities, different ways, which I'm extremely grateful for. Summary of kind of my experience would be, I'm 22 now. I've had an unbelievable experience and journey throughout. I think I've developed at a tremendous rate, and I think I've got friends who've gone to uni and gone different routes, and I honestly believe that this decision I made is the best one I could have possibly made. And I think that's a testament to Lloyds and the apprenticeship support available, right?
Oh, that's great to hear. That is great. Thank you guys so much for your time. It's great that I think about 50% of students who attended today said that a career at Lloyds Banking Group could be for me. So hopefully you guys will welcome a couple of the people that were on this webinar today in a couple of years' time. But thank you again for everyone that joined us. Just as a reminder, this will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel, and we will share the link and any extra information from Lloyds Banking Group with you all. Thank you again to the team at Lloyds, and I hope you guys all have a warm and wonderful night. Thank you.
Thanks, Malika.
Thanks, Malika.